All right, there it is. Pops right up. That's what she said. Up until the last moment, the doctor goes, "Well, this is your last chance. You can bail now." And I went, "No." I'll tell you this. On that fateful day in American history, January 6, 2021, I'll know exactly where I was.
Oh, so you were there, and we were bringing home T-Berry from his surgery.
There you go. You'll always know. All right, I'm gonna share it up on the Facebook. Oh, I did reach out to Mick Foley, and I have not heard anything back from the hardcore legend.
Okay, I got somebody else for you to reach out to.
Who's that?
And I think it's going to happen this time. Dan Rather.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely get in touch with him.
I mean,
sure.
there's no doubt about it. I think he's dropped down in stature enough that he will.
Well, and I've stopped ruining his life, so there's
yeah, after you got him fired.
I'll never forget, just to stick the knife in him at CBS, they did the retrospective of him, right? Do you remember when they aired it?
Not at a good time.
Like the worst time. The Friday night before Labor Day. Like Labor Day weekend, Friday night, when is like the lowest viewership of the year on any television ever. That's when they did the Dan Rather thanks for the memories thing.
Yeah, but now he can do a sack dance because he outlasted Brokaw.
He did. He outlasted Brokaw. That's funny. That's why Tony Bennett thought he had Alzheimer's. I can't believe I thought Brokaw was already retired. I must have something wrong with me. Oh. So what time do you want us over on Sunday? What time we coming over for the big game?
Yeah, please just call it the big game, please.
I don't want to get sued.
Please do. Okay. Are we all ready?
I am completely and totally ready.
Are we ready to rock? How's my?
Yes, I am.
How's my Buckeye sweatshirt looking?
Looking good, looking sharp, looking carefree there, pal.
Mm-hmm.
Looking like a champion.
Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't realize that John Swofford was the guy that kind of came up with the college football championship series. That was like his idea. That was his fault.
He's a money man. If there's money to be made, John Swofford's there, pal.
Yeah. Or as I like to say to him, good morning, sunshine. You see, let me explain that.
Here's the joke.
Jesus. Okay. It is the Brad and Britt cast, our first one for the week. Thank you. Hi, and welcome in live here on Facebook and on YouTube. And are we on any illicit websites that are plotting the end of the world? Because I want us off of those. We're
definitely on proudboys.org and boogalooboys.edu.
We're on all of them.
All of those for sure.
Hey, I want to start with something a little different, but you'll enjoy it, and I know you'll join in. The letters to the editor in our local paper, which where we are, is called the News and Record. You can feel a shift in the last few weeks because, for a couple of years, most of the letters were, is Donald Trump the worst president? Worse than the worst president? They were anti-Trump, and for good reason, because most intelligent people are anti-Trump.
He
which of
sucks
course
really bad. Yeah,
which of
it's
course
terrible.
turned into a lot of the other readers. Yeah, liberal paper. Yeah, the same shit, right?
Same shit. Yeah, that's correct.
Same shit. You know, it doesn't matter where you live. Your paper was probably like that. So in the last few weeks, now that Trump really is not the president, we are confident he is not the president. We are confident, however, that he looked with some jealousy at a real military coup overseas today and said, that could have been me. Our military could have reinstalled me as but okay, we'll put that aside. I'm deviating. Now the letters are more about Joe Biden and he's going to spend us into the liberal paper. You don't say anything bad about Joe Biden. Okay. Get it?
Yeah, I get it.
All right. So today, a guy, and by the way, I don't know if this is in your paper around the country, around the world. There are only about 6 people that write all the letters most of the time. It's just dreadful.
They're mostly bored. Yeah.
That people just whatever the limit is, you can only write one every 20 days. On the 21st day, bam, your letter's in there.
He's right there.
You know what I say to those people? Get a fucking podcast. Stop.
That's right.
Stop.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Every once in a while, a name pops up that you've never seen before. Here's a name: Caesar Wisbrod, Wyssbrod, the third.
It's a common
Not
name.
even the
Sure,
second, but he's the third.
Sure, that guy's not going to pass any bad checks, is he?
Right, and his letter is all about, Biden said unity, but you got to demonize Trump. All right. Here's the meat. The reason I'm reading this. Most people know the News and Record leans far to the left. Its opinion editor questions why his neighbors would even consider Trump. The articles only look at Republican wrongdoings and ignore Democrats' wrongdoings. Of course, when only the Associated Press and other liberal sources are used, what else can we expect? Full stop. Now, you have a discussion about media bias, which way to the lean. But the Associated Press is still, to this day, the gold standard of intelligent reporting, and both sidesism, not because they're doing it because they feel they need to do it, but they tend to be just fair in their reporting. That's their credo. The Associated Press was founded in New York City in, ready, 1846.
Holy shit.
1846.
This is a long time ago. That was only, hang on, like 30 years after the first time that our capital was stormed by troops.
But that's a great way to market. That's perfect. Anyway, and the Associated Press is, it's kind of like a co-op. It's owned by all the people who subscribe to it, the newspapers and people like that.
You pay into it and everybody shares.
Right,
It's socialism, really. It's socialist news is what it is.
Now, see, don't do that because you're giving oxygen
I know.
to the moronic argument the guy's making. Don't kill me here. But so the guy makes this argument, and I looked up, and I don't know whether you've ever looked at the media bias fact check site. Have you ever looked at that? There is one. If you put in media bias, and they're really pretty good. They've got it down pretty well. If you look up Fox, they'll say their reporting pretends to be objective, but it's usually not. And you can tell by the things they leave out, and they lean mostly to the right, and their opinion is off the charts, wacko right. They don't use that word, but they say. And if you go to MSNBC, their reporting is mostly pretty good. But again, they are very clever at leaving stories out that don't go with their thing. And with CNN, they say CNN is sort of center left in their reporting, but they're very, very fastidious about their facts. And when they make a mistake, they correct. Then they got it right. What do you think they say about the Associated Press? They say that the Associated Press is so fair, is so good.
It's disgusting.
They don't give it a left or a right. All right.
It's so fair, it's disgusting.
Right. So my point here is that if we have people that think just by definition, because a newspaper uses the Associated Press, that they are a left-leaning paper, it's over. The discussion is basically over. Again, you can't go anywhere with that. And I looked this up. When did the Associated Press call the election for Joe Biden? You know what they did? And by the way, this is an interesting fun fact for you. You know, Fox News, which called the election for Biden in Arizona, the night of the election, about
11:30 or something that night,
and they got all kinds of shit for it.
Yeah,
it turns out that the Associated Press and Fox News were using the same database, different than everybody else. They were sharing it. It. Associated Press was looking at the same figures that Fox was. Fox went with the prediction. All right. The Associated Press saw that, and they were pretty sure Fox was right, but they decided to be just a little bit more conservative.
That's right.
And it took them about 10 days to make the final call.
I believe AP called it when that news conference was taking place that Rudolph Giuliani was at next to that porn shop in Pennsylvania, the Four Seasons Landscaping. Right. I believe that. I mean, I literally think that's when Pennsylvania said, we got our votes. And I think that's when all of the networks, including AP and everybody else, said that's the election. Joe Biden's president.
Right.
I think that's when it was like the Saturday afterwards or whatever, 10 days after.
But I'm trying to decide whether to write a letter pointing out that if there are people who believe that if we could just get rid of the Associated Press, we could have some accurate reporting out there and get it from real journalists like Sean Hannity. And by the way, remember, people who watch Fox a lot think Sean Hannity is a journalist giving them the news. They think he is a newscaster. They believe that, many of them. Not all.
When did that start? When did that?
When he kept saying it, when he kept repeating it for 20 years that I'm the truth and you're not. That would be.
I just remember a lot of stuff after 9/11. It was supposedly it was supposed to be journalism, but it was obviously opinion. But people took it as fact and they just ran with it. But it probably happened way before that. There was probably a lot of that stuff way before that. Of course, remembering, this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, so it's been 20 years of this shit. And of course, Fox News has been around for 26 years or 27 or whatever it's been around. So that's stuff's been around for a while. And I'm glad you brought this up with Caesar Weisenheimer III or whatever the guy's name is about unity, and because these Republican senators are visiting, or they're going to visit with Joe Biden today at the White House, and they've got
are they the terrible 10, the tremendous 10?
The fearsome foursome again. I don't. It's Mitt Romney and Susan Collins who's still very troubled, and they're presenting. I'm sorry, I can't even give this to you fair and balanced. It's a joke. What they're presenting is a complete joke. It's a third of what Joe Biden wants. There's no money for the states or the municipalities. There's no money for the schools to open safely, and again, the game here is if Joe Biden says, no, this is bullshit. Oh, my God, where's the unity? Where's the bringing us together? He's already let us down, and he's already got blah, blah, blah. It's that shit, isn't it?
I get, hold on here. Let's give some space right now to Joe Biden. Okay. Let's give the space here, because we can pile on the Republicans in due time, like at about 4 o'clock this afternoon, three hours. I mean, there's plenty of time for that. But let's say, you have a house, all right, and you think your house is worth $190,000,
okay,
and somebody comes along and says, "I'll give you $60,000 for it," and you say,
no.
"That's absurd."
No,
and the guy offering you 60 says, "Well, it's certainly not worth 190. There's no way I'm paying 190." Your response would probably be, "Can we negotiate here and come out somewhere in the middle, maybe closer to what I want? Can we just talk about it?" Because that's the difference in the two offers: $1.9 trillion versus $600 billion. 19 to 6 for you fraction people, and obviously there's room way in the middle there. Okay, the only question is, how much shit will Joe Biden get from Democrats who are insistent that his number is just as immovable as the Republican number, which is it's a low ball offer. It's, making the low ball offer for your house. Nobody's going to take it. You out of your mind. Because I would think that the Democrat offer at the beginning from Joe Biden, and that they realized what was going to happen. They knew that it wasn't going to be accepted. They knew there wasn't going to be lovey-dovey instant unity, and they would just say, okay, sure. They weren't going to do that. So maybe they built in excess that they knew they could cut and come to some kind of deal. Now, I'm trying to think like a negotiator in Washington, and the way that business was done forever until the existence of, say, Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich ruined all of it, by the way. We'll get to that later.
1995 is when he was sworn in.
Right. And it has to be, it can't be either or. It can't be either or. And the Republicans always act like they have the strong hand. Even when they have the weak hand, they have the strong hand because they can ruin your life. That is how they live. And when you think about the fact that right now there are millions of people waiting in line, not just to get a vaccine, but to eat. And that there are Republicans whose cash offer, right, is, what is it? Is it 400 below? They only want to give you a total of $1,000 or $1,000 extra instead of $1,600. What is that number? I don't even know what it is.
It's not even discussable.
The fact that they would fight over that money right now is so much proof. And I don't want to say that all Democrats and they know how the real people live in the Republic. It's not quite that simple, but boy, they're sure making it seem that way.
Well, they don't. Sure I'm sorry. Right. They're straight to form. I mean, I know the stereotype exists because it's there. When it was time to cut taxes for billionaires, there was no figure that was going to be too big, right? There was no figure that was going to be too large. You're going, wow, this is going to blow a hole in the budget, and our grandkids are going to be paying for this until the year 3099. Oh, we don't give a fuck. Yeah. And the other thing the Republicans do is when they're in charge, they'll beat you up, steal your lunch money, and then just take your underwear off and strangle you with it. They don't give a shit. But all of a sudden, when the other guys are in charge, oh, wait a minute, hang on. You guys are just acting like you're going to roughhouse us. Wait a minute, we're here too. I'm sorry, and I love you, Mitt Romney. I think you have the best of intentions. But for 12 years now, Joe Biden was there, and he remembers exactly what happened with ARA, the American Recovery and Restoration Act. And he remembers how the Republicans pared it down and pared it down and pared it down and pared it down till it was almost nothing. It would have been so much more helpful to have more money in the system, and the recovery would have been way more robust. But Barack Obama got what he got. And I'm going to remind people again, I've said this before. If you've listened to this podcast before, then I'm very sorry. But if this is something that's bringing back your memory, then we appreciate all the support. There were a lot of Republicans who voted against the ARRA. And then when there would be some sort of project at the local school or community college, those fucking Republicans would go there with their golden shovel in hand to break ground on the new building or whatever that was going to be built because of the American Recovery and Restoration Act. So Joe Biden knows this, and he lived with it for 12 years, knowing that they did not give enough money or get enough money. And now he can do the right thing, and he can get this economy back on track and get money into people's pockets when they need it right now.
May I add something on top of what you're saying? Because I want to attribute motive here, and we can do that here on the Brad and Britt podcast because, well, we're a podcast. Because one of the most tiresome cliches I hear, I don't want to ascribe, I don't know his motives, but whenever somebody says that, they're lying. Of course, their motives, and you're pretending that it's just is it A or B, not why A, why B. But going back to what you were just talking about, at the depths of the last economic near depression in 2008, 2009, everything you said is true. But the question that I'll answer after I ask it to myself is, why did the Republicans really want to not put as much money into the system? Because it would, don't answer, I'll answer for myself.
Mr. Connor!
It wasn't a fucking, you answer it, Britt. The answer is because Barack Obama would get too much credit if the economy did too well.
That's
So
right.
the Republicans were willing to let the economy not get rescued as much as it could, not as much money into the system to turn things around as quickly as possible, because they're always looking at the next election. And God forbid that the American people would be helped enough that they might give credit to those who helped them. And the Republicans could have taken credit for, they could have said, yeah, if they would have given more money, we would have had a faster recovery. The complaint has been, up until the great Donald Trump, the greatest economist who's ever been president,
Clearly.
that the recovery was too slow. And then Donald Trump lied for 4 years and said he basically inherited a depression economy, right? He pulled us out of the depression.
That's what he did.
He slapped tariffs on the world.
And then he put us right back into one.
Right.
Good for him.
So you're right, but it's worse because they're evil. They all are interested only in the next election, only about power. And that's not to say that Democrats don't want to get elected, that they don't like to be in power. That's not the point. But as we've talked about so many times, say with the whole healthcare debate, apparently no Republican ever lost their health insurance. Not one in this country has ever gone without health insurance. They've never been fired from a job and lost it. They never needed it, not once, right? That's how they legislate. They legislate as if they're all multimillionaires, and everyone else is just with their hand out. It does get back kind of the Mitt Romney 47% comment, right? It's when they don't think they're being heard, when they think they're by themselves, and you catch them talking. That's what they say. There you go.
That's how that goes. I noticed on your Facebook page you have completely embraced the Jewish space laser. What do you and your fellow Jews have to say about these space lasers, Brad, that have started forest fires apparently across America?
Well, this is, of course, one of the charges from what's her name? Madeline Murray O'Hare. What is her? She got three
Marjorie
names.
Taylor Greene is who we're talking about.
Whatever. I'm sorry. It was a mistake. An honest mistake with no motive.
Sure.
No motive. And the fires a couple years ago, I think in 2018 in California, were caused by a Jewish financed. And when you hear that, you need to know what that really means. She attributes it to the classic anti-Semitic trope going back to the European Rothschild family, banking family of Europe, who, along with, say, George Soros, would be your go-to anti-Semitic trope in modern times. Rothschilds have a good 100 years of being the targets, maybe even more than that. And they financed the production of a space laser that was up in space, shot a laser down into the forest areas of California and started the fires. And I happen to think she may be onto something. And you know why? Because I remember the first time I ever saw a laser, little Jewish boy, 9-10 years old, I think I was.
Yeah.
And in Goldfinger, right? That was the first time most of us ever saw a laser, where Goldfinger straps James Bond to that slab, and the laser starts moving in between his legs, right? And it almost fries his cock, right? And he stops.
Slow down with the medical terms. I can't follow your fancy medical terminology. Almost fries.
And we know that Goldfinger's real name was Goldfarb. He changed it. We know he was a Jewish guy from Boston.
It wasn't Goldstein. It wasn't.
No, it was Goldfarb.
It was Goldfarb. Okay, I got to write this down.
Goldfarb.
I'm so wrong about this.
Yeah.
Now,
So the Jewish laser thing. Most of the other things she says are crazy. Boy, she's on target with that one.
She nailed that one. Again, as I like to follow this one all the way down to the ground. What was the great end game for the Jews starting the forest fires now in California? Do they have the lobby on fire trucks? Is that what the Jews are doing?
Well, here it is. If you burn enough land, it'll be available cheap, and then you can buy it and build housing and force the people that were forced out to buy new homes at higher prices, and you make a lot of profit. I don't know.
If there were real Jewish laser beams, wouldn't you kill some of the Nazis that were storming the Capitol? Wouldn't that be what you would do with those lasers? That's what I was thinking. Maybe I'm crazy about this. Marjorie Taylor Greene continues to be a bit of a problem, and there are still calls for her to be expelled from Congress for any number of things, including what we just said, and harassing a child who had seen his classmate shot. I'm talking about David Hogg there. I'm talking about her part in any number of QAnon theories and her part in helping to exhort some of the folks who stormed the Capitol on January the 6th. There's a plethora of things
that
would really disqualify her.
Everybody has heard the story 50 times about the important thing is now is what do they do with her?
Yeah.
It's just what do they do with her? Because clearly the most gutless wiener in the country is the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy. He's just a gutless.
Well, the guy who flew down to meet with Donald Trump last week, that guy?
Yeah, and he's going to have a talk with her, and we all know he's not going to have a talk with her. And if he does have a talk with her, it's going to be keep it up, do it twice as much, and or it's actually going to be we would prefer if you not put things. They're not. They're afraid. She is Trump right now. She is Trumpism. She is what's left of it. She is like the boys from Brazil. She's like Hitler's children.
Mm-hmm.
She is there, and they don't know what to do with it. I saw an interview with the guy that she beat in the primary back in August. Doctor, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he's a neurologist. He's a brain surgeon. All right,
clearly a never Trumper. Clearly a rhino.
Well, if you look at the map where that district is, it's the northwest corner cut out of Georgia. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do believe if it wasn't, it should have been Deliverance was filmed there.
It was the Chattahoochee River. I'm not sure if that's what that is.
I don't know.
That's
right.
my bad.
So the district voted, I think, 73 to 24 for Trump over Biden. So whoever won the Republican nomination for the House seat was going to get elected. And this guy was straight out of central casting as a very, very smart, hard conservative, all the right views on all the issues, but he lost big to her. And the reason he lost big to her was because she was a Trumper all the way, 100%. They liked it there. Now, the worst thing that you can hear across the country to defend what's going on in the Republican Party when you bring her name up is, well, people have the right. They do it like, people in Georgia elected her. Well, no, people in Georgia didn't elect her. People cut out from a fucked up, gerrymandered piece of shit Republican white person. I'll bet the racial makeup of that district is just so damn white you can't believe it. I mean, it is the 10th most Republican district in the country. Okay. Pretty Republican. And to say that the state of Georgia elected her, no, the state of Georgia just elected a Jew and a black guy to the U.S. Senate.
In statewide elections. Those were statewide elections.
Those are the problem children that live in their own Area 51 of Georgia, and they sent her off. Now, what are you going to do about it, Republicans? Because now I can't figure out what would be the easiest thing to do.
Here's the breakdown for Georgia's the fighting 14th district. Do you want to guess racially how white this thing?
Well, okay. Now remember, I think she won 73 to 20 in the so I'm guessing that this district is more than 90% white.
Well, you're a little off. 85.3%.
Yeah. Okay.
85.3% white, 9.8% black, 0.7% Asian, 0.4% Native American.
Right. And the vote across Georgia for the Senate races, which thank God you can't gerrymander a Senate race, although they're working on it. Yeah. I think the Georgia vote is probably 25 or 30% black, and none of them live in that district.
The high school graduation rate is 79%. The college graduation, would you like to guess what the college graduation rate is for the 14th district, Brad?
25%.
You are too high.
10.
Somewhere in between, 16.6% would be the college graduation rate for the fighting 14th district, which includes Rome. That's like the only. Oh,
yeah,
you know what that district encompasses? That's our friend Jack Murphy's hometown of Cedartown. It's in the 14th. How about that?
A star of Murphy in the morning on 107.5 The Eagle.
Our pal Jack, that's his district he grew up in. That is fantastic. I just happened to see that. How about that? Is that wild?
Oh, good. So the question is, what you can't have. And by the way, I'll give my media complaint on this story, which is everybody talks about. It's very terrible that the Republicans put her on the education committee, and then they show the video of her chasing down David Hogg, the one of the most vocal survivor of the Parkland shootings in that video. That you've seen that one.
Who had to see his classmates murdered right in front of him.
But so then they go, and the Republicans put her on the education committee. That's terrible. Well, I attribute motive here. The motive was on purpose to say "fuck you" to everyone.
I do agree with that.
It's absolutely. It isn't just they wanted to put her on there because they tried to make it seem as because she had a different view about the Parkland shootings that it was ironic that she's on. No, it was not just that. That wasn't it. That wasn't the reason. It was to say "fuck you."
It was "fuck you," and then, as you say, McCarthy can go, "Well, I didn't know about this. We're very troubled by some of her views. We're just extremely troubled."
Yeah, well, I don't think he said that. He hasn't said we haven't. I haven't seen the tape. He hasn't said he hasn't gone that far.
We're a little concerned about some. Well, he's gonna have a chat with her. Yeah. I almost think that Lauren Boebert, the crazy ass from Colorado, is even a little more dangerous than Marjorie is, because she was the one.
You want to have a contest? You don't want to have a contest, do you?
Well, I think that someone who tweets out the exact locations of Nancy Pelosi while people are waiting to kill her, I think that's to me that seems more dangerous. It could be me.
The one from Colorado, Lauren Boebert. She is a walking parody of a country song.
Sure.
Her bio is it's unbelievable. Here it is in very quickly. She gets knocked up at 17. Yeah. All right. In that same year that she's getting knocked up, the guy that knocks her up gets arrested for whipping it out in a bowling alley. Indecent exposure in a bowling alley. I
haven't heard this. You've got to be making this up. I'm
not making it up. Look it up.
He whips out his penis at a bowling alley.
Right.
By the way, if you're counting, that's 2 penis references. We didn't call this one a cock this time.
Right. And I don't apologize for it.
I don't either.
Wait. So he gets nailed for that, and time passes a little bit, and then he is arrested for domestic violence against her. Wow. Now there's already a baby. So what's the answer? They get married.
Of course they do.
They get married, and now they have four kids.
Oh, that's good.
And she's been tagged a couple of times for stupid things.
Has he managed to keep his penis in his pants since then and not show it to strangers?
They've got 4 kids. So and I don't mean that no one deserves a second chance.
Well, that's real America.
Or that you need to have a fancy Harvard law degree and be a genius like Ted Cruz to serve.
Why do you disparage real Americans?
Right.
That's the shit that we get though when you say something like that. And
hang on. Is there not something in between high school dropout, knocked up, marries penis exposing guy who beats her?
Sure.
Right. And then they run a bar or something like that, some restaurant. And
you're good. I hope it's called the Whip It Out. Hey, let's go to the Whip It Out and have a beer after work. Right. You guys want to head that way?
What? That's kind of like so. If you're going to start running campaigns soon against Republicans, here's one idea: you take that picture from the other day of Kevin McCarthy and Trump standing in that lobby of that horrible looking, the worst decor, like the kind of place you don't ever want to be seen in. That looks like 1856. It looks like the set of Masterpiece Theater.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that Saddam's rape room had better.
Right, that's what it looked like. It looked like those palaces that the guys over the Middle East built. That's what. So it's Kevin McCarthy and Trump standing there like two statues next to each other. I think you can take every Republican, and just paste their head right over McCarthy's face, and even if it's a woman. Right, leave the suit there so you know exactly who it was. That seems to be a pretty easy lift, don't you think?
I think so. I think that'll be a pretty good one.
Yeah, you want Trump, you got him.
Speaking of the 45th president of the United States, he had a little trouble over the weekend when several of his legal team quit. He now has a whole new starting five, Brad, and he is ready to rock and roll, locked and loaded, if you will, for the.
I didn't know he had five new ones. I thought he only had like two new ones.
Yeah, but they might as well be five, Brad. And
okay, so you were just using the number five without any. You're worse than the Associated Press.
As it turns out, I don't give a shit how many lawyers Donald Trump has. I don't know if it's two or five.
I think he was only able to find two, but I was really interested in that story when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
On Friday, because we've talked about this before. Number one, Rule A is you have to get the money up front from Donald Trump if you're ever going to be his lawyer.
Lawyers like to get paid.
Right. All right.
They just do.
You can bet that the ones who ran off probably never got a dime out of Trump.
That's right. That's correct.
But okay, but putting that aside and putting aside, the obvious things that are associated with defending Trump, when you learned that these lawyers, and they were hacks. Remember, it's not like the A team just left Trump and now he's left with. No, this was already bottom of the barrel, people recommended by Lindsey Graham, cronies of his from South Carolina, who were on the previous group of lawyers that just quit, and they were being told that the only defense that Donald Trump was going to mount, and they were going to mount it for him, was that the election was rigged and he won. And these lawyers, as bad as they probably are, they were pretty quick to realize that that's not a defense for inciting a riot and an insurrection against the United States government. All right.
Okay.
And number one, it isn't even true. Okay. So as a lawyer, you cannot go into court and knowingly lie, because it is a known lie that Donald Trump won the election. He did not. It was a free and fair election. So these lawyers, wanting to keep their membership in the Bar Association and their membership at the country club and their job at their firms, wherever they came from, said, no, we're not going to go into court, or in this case, in front of the Congress, because it's not a court of law, it's a Congress. And we're not going to say whatever happened was justified because Donald Trump thought, state of mind, that he won the election. They weren't going to do that. So think about the next group that's coming in. Did they agree? Is that what they're going to do? Are they actually going to do that? Or because my guess is whoever these lawyers are, they'll be gone by Wednesday. It'll be the same thing. So. You can't work with this guy. He's crazy.
Bruce Castor Jr. and David Schoen, I believe, Schoen.
Right.
Mr. Castor apparently was acting attorney general for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at one period of time. And it says here he received his undergraduate degree from something called Lafayette College, and he got his diploma from astronaut Neil Armstrong, it says, Brad. That's what it says on the website for his law firm that he works for. Got his law degree from Washington and Lee University, where he received the only graduation prize awarded for criminal law from the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Lewis Powell. How about that?
Oh, so this is an old guy. He's an old guy.
He doesn't look that old, but maybe that's his high school picture they're
Lewis
using.
Powell
on that.
Hasn't been on the court for 30 years.
Well, I haven't heard that name in a while.
I know.
David Shane or Sean or however you say it. He's in. He's got law offices in Montgomery, Alabama, and also in New York. He has a Bachelor of Arts from George Washington University. His JD comes from Boston College Law School, and his Master of Laws comes from Columbia University School of Law. Those are the guys. Those are the guys that are not going to get paid very, very soon by Donald Trump.
No, it doesn't mean anything because these people, they have to figure out, and they will very quickly, that they're about fourth in line here of cheesy attorneys. You can go all the way back to Bill Barr. Wow, that's about 6 weeks ago.
Jeez.
Right?
Lynn Wood.
Whenever, that group, then the Rudy Giuliani group, and then the guys who just quit group, and now you're coming in to clean up this mess. There's no mess. There is no defense. You did it. Trump did it. What you're going to see, and nobody's going to be called to testify because both sides, they want this over quickly, and if they agree to call witnesses. And for all I know, maybe the Republicans will all vote to call witnesses to slow things down. They may think that that's better for them. Who knows? Who knows?
A lot of the testimony from the Democrats is going to come in the form of video. There's going to be a lot of video shown.
Of course.
Stuff that we have not seen.
But I understand. I mean, they're going to put together, I'm sure, some video that we've never seen. And it'll be as if we need to see more. Okay, let's pretend we haven't seen it all, that it's even worse than we thought.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's like at some point there's like one piece of video that these Republicans are going to see. They're going to make them realize, oh, wait a minute, people could have died. And he really is responsible for this. And I don't know if that is actually true. I don't know if there's actually a piece of video that exists that would demonstrate that.
See, I mean, if they called witnesses, not only, of course, would you call Trump, but you call Mike Pence. And you call all the members of Congress, enough of them.
Vice President Pence, remember that time you almost died?
Right.
Remember that time?
So I doubt that the Republicans are going to go for that, and so there may not be any witnesses here. But they've got no defense. There really, really is no defense, and it's just a question of getting on the record.
Defense is Brad, but their defense is going to be, hey, we're going to call Maxine to the stand, and didn't she exhort the people last summer in Portland to go burn shit down? And didn't AOC last summer tell the people in Portland and in Minneapolis?
I don't believe you're allowed to call whataboutism witnesses. I don't believe, Britt. I don't think those.
I hope you weren't, but that's the only thing that they ever try to do.
I mean, I know we're on a podcast and you're not a lawyer, but no, they would not be allowed to bring up.
All they ever do is they try to equate breaking a window at Steve's bicycle shop to invading the Capitol of the United States.
Wait, but that's the difference between Rudy Giuliani holding a press conference in front of a porn shop and saying whatever he wants to, and Rudy Giuliani going into court. There's a difference between spouting off and doing whataboutisms and how come you didn't say anything about Antifa out in the public and on Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson versus being sworn in to tell the truth, tell the whole truth, and if you're a lawyer, bringing up evidence that is relevant and truthful about the case at hand in the United States Congress. Even if it isn't a real criminal trial, it's damn close. Yeah. And the standard of relevancy and truth, it's not identical to a trial, but it's damn close. So they couldn't bring those kinds of things up, even though you're right. During the commercial break on Fox, if they bother to show the impeachment, and by the way, I've noticed this, you may have caught it already. At 1:00 every day, they hold a White House press briefing. The White House press briefer is Jen C.J. Psaki. All right. And she's on there every day. And it's carried on CNN and MSNBC and on Fox. Nothing. Doesn't exist. No. So today it was an interesting little difference. CNN, Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, taking questions from members of the press. MSNBC, same video, same picture. And on Fox, it was Larry Kudlow, a brand new employee at Fox, talking about how shitty everything is going for.
Yeah. So how Joe Biden is killing the economy by trying to get money into people's pockets.
I understand. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
what he's doing. Trying to raise the minimum wage to $15, and that's just going to destroy our economy.
Right. Right.
It's over. It's just gonna crumble into the sea, just like that highway up in California did at Big Sur. That's what's going to happen to the American economy if somebody at Burger King makes $15 an hour in 5 years. It'll just destroy our economy. Some of this is making news, so I wanted to recap some of this. The podcast I was telling you about from Axios with Jonathan Swan called How It Happened. They released a brand new episode, and this one gets back to some stuff that you were talking about with Bill Barr and Rudolph Giuliani. So Bill Barr, when the Mueller stuff is happening, comes up with this memo about how the Mueller thing is awful and it's terrible, unsolicited, right? Unsolicited.
And this was before, before he had the gig.
So Donald Trump goes, that's my boy. So he fires Jeff Sessions. He puts Bill Barr in there. And for the first year, Bill Barr is Attorney General. It's honeymoon time. This guy can do no wrong. Right. He's hanging the moon. Everything's great. And then all of a sudden, unfortunately, there were some protests across America in the summer of 2020. You might remember them. There was some very unfortunate police activity that happened in Minneapolis, and some people were very upset about this. Do you recall this at all?
That's too long ago. I can't remember that.
So Donald Trump wants to literally roll the 82nd Airborne and carpet bomb Portland and roll tanks right down Main Street, right, in Minneapolis. That's what he wants to do. Right. And he's saying to Bill Barr, why aren't you doing this? Why are you not pulling the military out and throwing like rocket launchers? Why are we not shock and awe? Why are we not throwing F-1 fighters? And Bill Barr goes, I'm a law and order guy. I hate minorities as much as the next guy, but we're doing this. We're doing this from a legal standpoint, and we have a law enforcement component, and we're rooting out the bad guys and going after them. And Donald Trump, that pisses him off. That's not a good answer, and he's not gonna take it. I think at one point Donald Trump goes, "Nobody fucking supports me," and he just walks out of the room. And Mark Meadows, and then Bill Barr sits there and goes, "Oh." So Bill Barr tries to have zero contact with Donald Trump between summer and election day, right? He talks through Mark Meadows. He talks through other people. He just doesn't want to deal with Donald Trump because the guy's he's Meshuggah. I believe is the term. I believe is what that we're looking at. So after Donald Trump loses the election, I said loses the election. That's when they start ramping up the Rudy Giuliani. Oh, the thing was stolen from you, and Sidney Powell and all this other shit. Right. And then Donald Trump goes, "Well, I don't understand, Bill Barr. Why are you not doing?" And Donald Trump goes on the Maria Bartiromo show and says, the Justice Department, they're just missing in action. They should be looking at this, and they're not. So that was the day, I think it was December the 1st, Bill Barr said to the Associated Press, look, there's no fraud that we've looked into that would change this election.
Right. Right. This is
none. Zero. None of this stuff at all changes any of this shit.
Right. So we know, because this is recent history, we know what the line was for Bill Barr. It doesn't really give him a chance to replace Abe Lincoln in the Lincoln Memorial. He's not a good guy. But there are degrees of terrible.
Yeah.
And then there's Donald Trump.
That's right.
And just about all the people who, quote unquote, served Donald Trump were terrible.
Yeah.
And they did his bidding. And they will not, in normal society, they can exist in their bubble and say things like the reason we stayed is because we needed to protect the country. There would be someone worse than me if I left, so I stayed to protect the agency or the policy or whatever. They can say all these things, but it's not going to save them. And in the case of Bill Barr, the things he was doing were so odious and so inexcusable over that year and a half when he was truly running interference for all kinds of abhorrent policies. And his initial spin on the Mueller report, it goes down in history as, I guess, paving the way for Donald Trump to wiggle out of being convicted during impeachment later on, because he so discredited the perception of what was coming out in the Mueller report, and it worked. It worked. I'll give him that.
Pointed out that Bill Barr
he's competent at being evil. I'm not saying he's not competent.
No. He's Dr. Evil. I mean, it should be pointed out he had already taken Justice Department guidelines for looking into election fraud and kind of wiped his ass with those, but he still was not able to find any actual evidence of voter fraud.
Right. No, remember, before the election, a few months before the election, he was fully on board
Yes.
with saying 5 different ways how mail-in voting is fraudulent. And we got to do something about it. He was on board with that. Now that we can look back, and I'm not giving Bill Barr any credit, but I would guess that he really knew back then that it wasn't a problem. But he probably thought that by saying that during that period, that would just help them get to the finish line and that it wouldn't matter ultimately. So it was easier for him to go along with that narrative, because if he would have come out early and gone against Trump, because remember, Trump was screaming at every rally, right, about mail-in voting, or he was making this insane, completely false distinction between mail-in voting and absentee balloting. Absentee balloting is what Donald Trump did when he now has his home in Florida, but was sending a ballot in from Washington. That's legal. That's legal. But all these states, like North Carolina, which had a law, has a rule that you could request an absentee ballot. You didn't need an excuse. A lot of states changed their laws before the election, several months before, because, and I know this was news to the president, there was a pandemic going on. And people, I mean, how quickly last year, early February, March, were we already all talking about how's this going to affect people's ability to go vote on election day? And as unresponsive and incompetent as government is, if you want to believe that, they can't do anything right. A lot of them did this right. A lot of them did change their rules to make it easier for people to vote by mail-in ballot or absentee. It's the same thing. And Trump, he saw an opening to lie about what went on, because states get to make their own laws. Legislatures get to change the rules if they want to. They can change the rules a week before if they wanted to. They could have, but they didn't. They did it in time. And you got this massive mail-in voting number all across the country in a lot of states. And Barr was, I think, trying to keep his feet on both sides of that line before the election. And then after the election, when it was really clear that every state was being kosher and doing it the right way and counting the votes every way from Sunday over and over again and getting the same number, right? Did you ever do that? You know, like you think you have this amount of money, you count the money, God damn, sure, you count it again, and it keeps coming out to be the same way. You know, at that point, you say, that's how much money I have. That's right. How it was with the votes. And once Barr saw that, there was no way. There was no way he was going to stay on board. And so he's a bad guy. I don't want him as my lawyer. Not interested. But on the pantheon of bad people during the whole Trump era, and somebody needs to do a ranking on who was the worst guy. He'd still be near the top.
Pompeo's got to be way up there.
Well, yeah, you don't want to have a contest.
I mean, Pompeo, in terms of being a sycophantic, ass-kissing piece of crap, I think it's got to be Pompeo's got to be at least on top of the leaderboard.
I might add, later in the hour, after I'd seen Larry Kudlow, instead of the White House press secretary, then it was everybody's favorite, Stephen Miller, because they're all over Biden on reversing Donald Trump's immigration crap. They're all, they're just waiting for the first illegal immigrant to kill the first hot-looking blonde woman in Omaha, Nebraska. They just can't wait to do an "I told you so," right? They're just hanging on there. And,
maybe one of those immigrants will whip his dick out at a bowling alley.
Yeah. All right. Plenty. And by the way, tomorrow it's our annual Super Bowl preview show.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. Boy, that Pro Bowl, that virtual Pro Bowl was something.
We're not gonna. We're not gonna do it. Although, I can I call bullshit on one more idiotic thing about Brady that they're trying. Okay, so apparently, I'm trying to remember, the only two big time superstar players
Mm-hmm.
who moved to another team and won a championship in their first season, right,
Mm-hmm.
are Frank Robinson and I think it was Kareem
Oh, okay.
to the Milwaukee Bucks. I think those were the only two. I'd have to check that.
Okay.
And of course they do that so they see LeBron James didn't do that. So LeBron James switches teams a couple of times, and in the second year, each time he starts
He
winning.
wins.
So that doesn't count.
Oh, that's
He's
nothing.
a loser,
That means
and they're
nothing.
winning. So if Brady wins with the Tampa Bay Bucks, he will join a rarefied group, as if that's really what he cares about. That's really all that matters.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
They've like run out of things to try to say in terms of superlatives about Brady's career, which
That's all you can really do at this point.
stands for itself. And I sent a nice letter to Kurt Schilling the other day. It said, "Kurt, baby, I'm with you. I'm